people, and welcome to the first episode in a series that I'm going to do about the Modernism era of theatre, which starts about late 19th century, early 20th century, all the way up until the 50s, or at least the end of World War II. But firstly, today, I'm going to talk to you guys about Naturalism, the first ism after Romanticism, but we can talk about that another time, in the Modernism isms. I want to explore with you the writing rules for naturalistic theatre. But first, what is naturalism theatre? Naturalism theatre derived from Romanticism theatre, where it's a bit more of a real story. There's still that slight flowery language they used there. It is part of the movement that happened in the late 19th century and all the way through the 20th century, and basically kicked off a new, I wouldn't say anti-religious, but focused on the people that weren't normally focused on in theatre at the time. So your servants in theatre, because it's the 19th century. Let us build our character. Let's go for this one. Notice the long covering skirt, the apron, and the pushed up blouse sleeves. Now, the apron alone shows the class of this character. She works in the kitchen. She is head of the household in that day. She's head of the servants, maybe. She shows that time. So, we have our character. She is definitely of a lower class. She is definitely works in the kitchen for the upper class. But yes, so we have her. And I would just like to say this, that I'm going to use an extract from Miss Julie, or a couple of extracts from Miss Julie by August Strindberg, because I feel that that is quite obviously a naturalistic play and shows the points that I want to make very clearly. The first thing that I would like to tell you is that you should never break the illusion that the audience has on your play. This is a naturalistic thing. It also is a realism thing, but we'll talk about that another time. Naturalism theatre does not break the illusion. This includes the set. In Miss Julie, August Strindberg had the set at an angle so that the audience couldn't see certain areas of the theatre, yet the actors were still performing there. But this is a great way of showing of how the characters are not acknowledging the audience at all, and do not do that. You should not acknowledge the audience in a naturalistic piece, because that just breaks everything. And I would like to show you this by having our character on a set in a kitchen. As you can see, this is a real kitchen. Again, not again, I haven't said it yet. As you can see, our character is in a real kitchen. Now, I have very limited resources at the moment because I am filming this during lockdown for the pandemic that is happening. I have very minimal resources and do not have the ability to build a kitchen set, so I thought I'd use the real kitchen as my set. Anyway, you notice that she completely ignores you. She completely just goes on with her day in silence, cleaning the side. Now this is what you see at the beginning of Miss Julie. You see Christina working in the kitchen, cooking live on stage, which is another element that you could add in to make this a very naturalistic piece, is to have the characters actually do stuff on stage. So cooking, sewing, maybe any of that kind of stuff. I would also like to preface this by saying that if you bring these rules into now, like the times we are living in now, you still have a naturalistic play. As long as you follow these rules, you'll have that. In your writing, describe the set to as much detail as you want. This will help you get have a visual representation in your mind of what your set will look like. And that then gives the director, or if you're directing it yourself, the ability to know what pieces you need to have in this set to make it as the most naturalistic piece as possible. Lots of detail. This is good for naturalism stuff. We'll get to the other stuff later in other videos. So all of the things I've said about your set, maybe having an angle, having your characters literally do stuff on stage like cook or clean or make something, will really suck in your audience, like draw them into the story, to feel for these characters, to empathize with them as much as they can, because that's what you want with naturalism theatre. You want to get your audience to feel the empathy for these characters. Now, speaking of feeling for them, your dialogue. First things, there is no subtext within naturalistic theatre. It's all out there. No reading between the lines or anything. That's a realism thing, which we'll get to next week. Having your dialogue be direct, but still realistic, still having the character conversations, feeling the emotions, like letting the words be like those emotions, and making sure that there is nothing in between the lines, so they're actually doing what they're saying and they're actually feeling what they're feeling, that kind of thing. Dialogue is one of the hardest parts of any writing, and I definitely feel that within naturalism it is quite hard to do, to make sure that there isn't any subtext, because everyone likes a good juicy bit of subtext. But yes, we'll get to subtext and stuff more in the realism video next week. Just talk about real things, basically. For example, in Miss Julie, there's a lot of cheating going on, there's a bit of love affair going on, and if you've read the play, you know what I'm talking about. So basically, don't be scared to put your characters through a realistic, almost maybe not traumatic experience, but like cheating, adultery, that kind of stuff. Real stuff. So no magic or anything. Nothing romantic like there was in Romanticism. There's still that flowery language there. You shouldn't put in anything too magical, basically. For a second, let me define Romanticism. Romanticism, in the terms that I'm talking about, isn't the kind of kissing, love affairs, that kind of thing. By Romanticism, I mean story. Like solid story. Something true and real. Well, not necessarily true, but real and impactful. Anyway, plays before naturalism have a more magical air to them, but don't have that here. No magic. When writing, don't be afraid to leave a silence as well. As you can see in this scene, We have our character alone on stage, which is a first to allow women on stage alone without anything other than the soft violin music. That's a good step forward for their times. But again, 19th century, 20th century. Yes, we see our character here alone on the stage with the softness of violin music playing in the background, representing the rest of the play that is happening outside of the kitchen. Now this is another very naturalistic piece, having that music being there and hearing maybe laughter sometimes or footsteps from outside of where the stage is shows that there's more going on, but it's not subtext. It is the text that's there to represent that this is like a bigger thing, it's a broader thing. When writing a naturalistic piece, I would like to conclude that you must make it as precise as possible, make it as real life as possible, even if it's in set now than it was then, but as long as you follow the rules that I've said today, then you've got it down. Make sure you maybe stick to one location for your set, maybe skew it so it feels more like you have all four walls. And no subtext. You will get to subtext next week in the realism video. But yes, don't be afraid to include real life problems in your piece for realism pieces, for naturalism pieces, because that's what it's about. It's about the cheating, it's about the laughter, the love, and all of that stuff that's happening to these people. And so that's what makes it naturalistic, with the added flowery language, that is. But yes, and one thing, don't break the illusion. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button down below. Subscribe if you're new. I'm new, but I hope you enjoy this content. I am making a whole series. There's loads coming up. I'm gonna do a ism video every week for July. So please stick around, and everybody's welcome. Anyway, yes. Have a great day.